systems are also, if I remember correctly, they also had to do with guided missiles. Like, they can literally have a satellite sitting up in frickin' space, looking at the battlefield, synchronize frickin' the targets from outer space, and then a vehicle on the ground can frickin' fire a missile, and that missile will hit the frickin' target. Okay, and they're the ones who were in charge of doing all that, like for the artillery systems and armored vehicles and stuff. So it's all about cybersecurity and intelligence services too. It's electronic warfare, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all mixed up in it. But you see, they were affiliated with freaking are you there?
I'm listening. Can you hear me?
Yeah. They were affiliated with this organization called HARP. You know, and of course they aren't responsible for it. You know what I mean? That's just coincidence. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? And then if you go and you just look at the story and be logical when it comes to what you're reading with frickin' Nikola Tesla, alright? You can't lie to yourself, alright? It's just, the story by itself is ridiculous, alright? And plenty of people for frickin' decades have been saying that frickin' Nikola Tesla was the one who frickin' came up with the stuff that HARP uses, you know, his teleforce. Have you ever heard of his teleforce ray?
No.
He was supposedly supposed to come up with his teleforce ray gun, and mysteriously, his death ray is what they called it. He made claims just before he freaking went he went homeless and poor and all that he had created a death ray, what he termed as the death ray. And Nikola well, here it is. I got one here. The one-time savant who had revolutionized the whole world with his electrical inventions was now a decrepit old man suffering between hotels in Manhattan, hoarding newspapers and birdseed. When the unpaid bills of one hotel grew too large, he'd simply move to another. His waning fame had only his only currency. So see, right there from the get-go, they're freaking slamming him with a bunch of shit, you know what I mean, from the get-go. And they do this in every article. From the height of his celebrity, Tesla's decline had been slow but steady. After his innovative work in electric power in the late 1800s, specifically in alternating current, the young Serbian immigrant had branched out into radio and wireless power transmissions in the early 1900s. Newspapers worldwide reported on his every undertaking, even the most eccentric, such as a 20-story tower in Colorado that built up huge electrical charges and shot lightning bolts 135 feet long. The thunder generated was audible 15 miles away, and that is fact that he actually did do that. So later, when Tesla started talking about even wilder projects, including a powerful new weapon he was working on, folks paid attention. Tesla's new device, like bolts of Thor, thundered in the New York Times in 1950. In fact, this new device would come to dominate the late decades of Tesla's life. Instead of lightning, Tesla said his new weapon would harness a beam of metal ions hurtling along at 270,000 miles per hour. As for how this beam was possible, Tesla was always coy, citing new laws of physics that no one else has ever dreamed about. He nevertheless bragged about his work to any reporter who would listen. The all-penetrating beam would pack 100 billion watts into just 100 millionth of a square centimeter. Tesla teased his Teleforce weapon for decades, saying it could shoot down airplanes from 250 miles away. The press
Oh wow.
landed on a different name for the invention, death ray. Despite claims to the contrary, Tesla never provided much proof that the death ray worked, but no one could quite dismiss the idea either. After
And
all,
they've been. Oh, go ahead.
this was Tesla. Now, what was
They've been talking about a death ray for Maui, the Maui situation, and you know how we're talking about like him having a lot of, like you said, the main technology that these people use, the BAE, and then the HARP. They use Tesla's information. They use his technology, and like I said, that death ray thing. They said that that was what happened with Hawaii, and that's why there's like some strange blue that the quote unquote elite, they're not elite, I'll refuse to call them that, the leechers are. I mean, you're not, if you're a leech, you do leech stuff, and like killing people and saving yourself is not at all elite, it's actually cowardly. But in regards to, and they put this blue on top of their homes in order for them to, like, basically like the Passover, because the death ray is not able to penetrate it. Like it, the way it reflects, it'll kind of bounce off of those, but the other ones, they will it'll actually penetrate. So I just think that's crazy, especially if he is to have said to have created a death ray, and they say that the Maui fires that was probably just a test. That's probably just a test.
And see,
That's
this
crazy.
supposed death ray can also be it can be compared to something else that's strange that happened during that time period in freaking Siberia. Now, out of nowhere, somewhere, something happened where an energy freaking didn't crash into the earth in Siberia, but it came just above the surface of the planet, and it literally wiped out freaking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Actually, it was like thousands of acres. Just killed trees. They were left barren there, and it took.
And that's what happened. That's like the same thing.
And there's a lot of people that believe that this actually took place when it came to freaking what had happened there on in thing, because it's still a mystery. Nobody knows exactly what took place.
They played on them, especially because they have a lot of money. They like to do that with really smart people and a little bit of money. I noticed they like to kind of wipe us, like people, those type of people, off the face of the earth, or I think they can. And then when they find out those some people are a little bit stronger and not as easily moved, it becomes a little difficult. Like this guy, ever since I started talking about this stuff, there's a gray Ford Explorer. So if you hear me go mute or something weird happen, like they just pulled up, and when they pulled up, they didn't park or anything. They parked like diagonally. You could see they still had their brake lights on. It just looked real, like, and I mean, it was literally when we started talking about what we're talking about now. And it's just while I'm at a park, because the boys do basketball, so my other babies at basketball, and I'm sitting out here doing the show with you. And I was talking about what we were talking about out loud, obviously. And all of a sudden, everyone that was playing at the park is gone. And the only vehicle that is here, besides a weird white van, but the white vans follow me everywhere, is this gray car with a Ford Explorer, like I said. And they were just, the way they parked, it was like it was so sudden. And you know how our government loves Ford. I mean, Henry's their guy. And that's just wild to me.
I'm telling you, I mean, this is the kind of stuff right here that gets me interested. You know what I mean? And then when we were talking, we were also talking about, you know, mysterious deaths, scientists that mysteriously died. And the ones I was more particular about too, when it comes to that, is the ones who died during the Cold War. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there is, you know, a lot of reason to believe that the Soviet Union killed off some of these scientists and stuff like that. I have no doubt
Becoming
about
too
that.
powerful, especially freelance scientists. I say that to be where they're doing, especially back then too, because now science is more structured and more constrained.
Well,
So
it's
people are in
competition too,
laboratories.
though. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
why. Yeah,
And
because they'll find out the truth.
they don't want their competition having great scientists, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes on to say that the Tesla death ray took hold mostly during World War II against the Nazis when they had already heard all this stuff about freaking the death ray being able to destroy airplanes 250 miles away, and the people in Tesla's homeland, which was Yugoslavia, asked them or begged them to return home and install those rays to protect them from the Nazis. You know what I mean? And he never did. But that right there would be like right around the time period where all that happened. And see, whenever Tesla died, the tower that I was just reading about right there for you,
Yes.
the U.S. government went out and freaking just took it down, and took it down piece by piece. They didn't just destroy it, you know what I'm saying? They were very methodical about taking it apart. So that tells me that they were planning on putting it back up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
yeah, I mean, it probably did. Like, I just, this stuff makes the third eye burn because it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of information here, and we're getting to.
And then this article, it doesn't even mention the car crash. It does mention him being sick and deathly skinny. And prone to fainting. But then they say that a maid ignored the freaking do not disturb sign on his hotel room, and on January the 8th she walked into his room and found him dead, reportedly naked except for his socks, and he was 86 years old.
But then look at the next sentence. And with the fate of his death ray unclear, a massive scramble began. Bro, man. And he was naked. They probably beat on him, so you're not going to talk about that. Why would you go on a do not disturb? I know from having done hospitality before, if you go in there, there's like fines. You get that, like, you get in trouble if you go into a do not disturb. So you just all of a sudden, like, he had to be smelling, he had to be rotten. In order for us to have a reason to go into a D&D, we have to go in there. Well, back in then, and this is maybe Disney's protocol, but still, there has to be a reason, a just cause to search. Even with like anything, like you have, if someone walks into your room, that's, and especially if they take something out, that's illegal search and seizure. But I imagine back then those weren't the same type of laws. But